want to do something, and just kind of that motivation session. Audience awareness, I noticed that everybody was looking right at you. You were the center of the whole room. Your comfort level, you looked very comfortable, because I felt like we were all, everybody here. I felt like this second speech, you were very, very comfortable. So that's awesome for it being your second speech, right? So, but other than that, hey, great speech, and I look forward to your next one.
Just add to that. Since I've been here, actually lost over 80 pounds in the last 46 days.
That's right. Thank you, Mike. Fellow Toastmasters. And for the next couple minutes or so, Yaruwsha. This was Yaruwsha's second speech. He did his icebreaker a few weeks ago. And I asked him beforehand what his feedback was from his first speech. I didn't evaluate the first one. And he said, Terry did his, I think. Eye contact was one of his goals, is to have better eye contact. So I looked for that, Yaruwsha, and I think you did better at eye contact. Occasionally, when you're thinking, I noticed that you kind of look down away from everybody, but that's kind of a normal learning process. You don't necessarily are really good at looking at people and thinking at the same time without practice. So that's not a big deal. It's just what I've noticed a little bit. But you did make a lot of eye contact. You did engage with the audience, which is really, really good. You talked about a lot of things. Your speech title was Success Does Not Pretend. You talked about several concepts. For example, journey versus destination. And I think what I got out of it was that was probably your main theme. And you kind of went all different directions around that. You had some storytelling in there that was good. Some of the things I really like about your speech is your enthusiasm and your smile. Don't ever lose that, because that is you, man. That is you. Now, you may have to give a speech where you have to pretend that's, based on the topic, but I mean, you're not going to give a eulogy probably doing that. But for the most part, that's a good way to present yourself, because that's one of your strengths. The other thing I noticed was your body language. A couple different situations where you use really good body language. You actually did dust off your shoulders with your hands, right? That's really good. Being that way, using your body to explain what you're saying is really good. You talked about a crash down motion. I think you did something like this with your hands. It's good to express those things.
Did you have a sound effect with that? I'm not sure. Was it?
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, exactly. Really good stuff. I didn't hear the crash at the bottom, but that was great. You had some good stories. Your speech contest, I think, was probably the one that grabbed our attention the most, because it was real and it happened to you and you were describing it. I would have liked to seen you focus on one story and really dig into that story and give us more detail about it. And you kind of gave us 3 stories in that time frame. One story and really dig deep would have probably been a little better. You could have gone into a lot more detail about that story, how you felt, more detail about how you felt, maybe audience members. You did talk about some feedback. You probably could have gone a little deeper in that. You also talked about walking in uniqueness and do what you love. If I was going to critique something overall that I would recommend that you think about in your next speech is try to be more specific and focus in on one topic. You're kind of trying to mix a lot of different things in one speech. So at the end of the speech, what do you want people to remember from that speech? If you talk about 4 or 5 different things, what are they going to remember? Are they going to remember any of those 4 or 5 different things? You want them to remember one main theme. So when you leave there, it's almost like going to church. When you leave there, how many times have you been to church and you walk out and you say, what was that about? And everybody looks at each other like, I don't know. There were so many things they were talking about. You want to leave one message that is solid and nobody's going to forget. And I am probably one of the worst at that. I have tried to learn. I'm getting much better at it. What do I want people to remember when I finish my speech? What's my final conclusion? You said you had a conclusion, and you talk. Right? Give us that last sentence or two that we can remember, we can grab hold of when we leave. But you're doing great. I think you're coming along fine. I am really looking forward to how you progress in Toastmasters. Great speech.